To listen to our programs, follow us live on all our social media platforms on Facebook at Aloore Radio, Twitter and Instagram at Aloore Radio. You can also subscribe on our YouTube page on Aloore Radio. Make sure you click on the notification bell so you know when we are live. This is Aloore Radio, the voice of Oyo State.
A beautiful morning to you right today. We welcome you. So Aloore Radio, where we transmit from the GSM studio at the Ministry of Information, Culture and Tourism. I especially welcome you. So this morning edition of Newspaper Review will be reviewed with you this morning, just a single paper, Nigerian Tribune. I will not forget to remind you my name. I am Temitope Ojo Awo, and as usual, first go through the headlines at the front page of the newspaper before we go into the details. The leading headline at the front page of Nigerian Tribune this morning says, Governors lambast Malami over $480 million parish club reform, with a rider that says is claims fraudulent, self-serving will not stand, they insist, on page 8 of Nigerian Tribune. Also, the front page is an headline that says 2.5 billion naira, North 18.9 billion naira was paid to clear 3,200 hectares in 8 states, our great minister says on page 4 of Nigerian Tribune this morning. Troops dislodging more bandits camp, rescue 6 hostages in Kaduna, page 28 of Nigerian Tribune. On security threat, government closes schools, students stranded parents jittery in Jigawa, page 30 of Nigerian Tribune. Lagos under pressure lockdown, Commissioner of Police. Appeal out orders retrial of Kano singer sentenced to death for blasphemy on page 4 of the newspaper this morning. Akeredolu over 50,000 naira to Ondo residents who volunteer information on criminals. The story can be found on page 28 of Nigerian Tribune. Electricity workers suspend strike while we can't generate 5,000 megawatts. Federal government FEC okays 2.7 billion naira for Zungeru hydropower project on page 8 and page 6 respectively. And also at the front page of this morning is a story that says Tinubu in closed door meeting with Obasanjo, page 3 of Nigerian Tribune. With today's headline and lots more inside the dailies, we're going to observe a braver break. Please stay tuned. Thank you for staying tuned.
ọgbà tí a ṣe jiná lóde ìrànjẹ́ làwọn aláṣẹ ìjókòó tí wọ́n fẹ́ máa jẹ ọba ni wọ́n ṣe gàyà díẹ̀ ná ìlú ló láṣẹ ẹjẹ́ ìlú ó jẹun náà ìdí nìyí tó fi jẹ́ pé ẹ̀tọ́ ìlú là ń fowó ìlú ṣe nípìnlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ ẹ̀rí bí ní ètò ẹ̀kọ́ wa ṣe ń jògèrè LAUTECH ti di tìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ ilé ìwòsàn alábọ́dé bíi 40 ló ti wẹ̀wọ̀ ọ̀tún pẹ̀lú àwọn òṣìṣẹ́ tòun tòògùn àti irinṣẹ́ tó pójú owó iṣẹ́ sì ti fẹ́ẹ̀ parí pẹ̀lú lórí 100 míì jákèjádò ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ ààbò tó dájú ohun amáyédẹrùn ní ìṣokùnfà ìdásílẹ̀ iléeṣẹ́ ńláńlá láwùjọ òun náà nípínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ fi wà nípò kẹta nínú àwọn ìpínlẹ̀ tí ń pawó wọlé jùlọ lábẹ́lé nílẹ̀ wa ọ̀pọ̀ ọ̀dọ́ ló ti láǹfààní ẹ̀kọ́ṣẹ́ iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ lọ́nà ti gbàlódé táṣeyọrí yìí ó sì jẹ́ kó ń jẹ́ sùn wá bọ̀ láìpẹ́ nípínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ àwọn òṣìṣẹ́ àtòṣìṣẹ́ fẹ̀yìntì ń gbowó wọn lásìkò pápá àṣírí Adámàsìngbà àtàwọn inú ojú pópó tí ń sòrú dọ̀sán ń kọ́ àwọn ìlú ti sọ pásì ìwádùn níṣèjọba yìí fi ń mọrírì gbogbo àwọn aláṣẹ gómìnà Ṣèyí Mákindé ló ń sọ fún wa pé pẹ̀lú ìṣọ̀kan wa oòrùn tó kù lókè yìí ó táṣọ ọgbẹ.
iléeṣẹ́ ètò ìròyìn àṣà ohun ìrìn àjò afẹ́ tìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ ló ń kéde.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you for being there with us. Let me quickly remind you that you can link up us on our social media pages on Facebook. You can reach us out on www.facebook.com/Aloore Radio and also YouTube at Aloore Radio and website at www.alooreradio.com. And mobile apps available on Play Store, and our mobile number is 0903985331. Let's go into the main business of the day. And my first story is on page 2 of Nigerian Tribune. Use your PVCs to end APC misrule, Ayu tells Nigerian. The national chairman of the People's Democratic Party PDP, Dr. Yocha Ayu, has urged Nigerians to vote out of the All Progressive Congress APC using their permanent voters card PVC comes 2023. The former Senate president gave the charge on Wednesday while speaking in Ado-Ekiti, Ekiti State, when he received thousands of Social Democratic Party SDP members under the auspices of Ekiti Progress who defected to the party in building up to the June 18 governorship election in the state. Ayu, who stated that the APC-led government had failed to live up to expectations across the major sectors of the country, said the presidential candidate of PDP, Atiku Abubakar, and his ruling mate, Ivei Okoa, were equipped to provide needed solution to the myriad challenges confronted with the nation. He explained that the dwindling economy, rising insecurity, and the continued strike action of the Academic Staff Union of University are enough reason for people to vote out the ruling party and its candidates in the year 2023 general election. Can read more on page 2 of Nigerian Tribune. Use your PVC to end APC misrules, Ayu tells Nigerian. Still on the same page. Northwest APC youth vow to deliver 10 million votes for Tinubu. All Progressive Congress APC youth in the Northern West region are vowed to deliver 10 million votes for the party's presidential candidate, Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in the year 2023 general election. Abdulhamid Omar Muhammad, APC Northwest youth leader, made this promise in a statement issued to newsmen on Wednesday. He said youth leaders from Katsina, Sokoto, Kebbi, Kaduna, Samvera, Jigawa, and Kano State are currently mobilizing grassroots support for the Tinubu-Shettima presidential ticket. Our target is to give the APC presidential candidate at least 10 million votes in Northwest because people from the region are aware of the outstanding job both Tinubu and Shettima did as governors. We can also see the dividends in the respective states they govern, he noted. Please read further on page 2 of Nigerian Tribune. And lastly, on that page, Oni threatens contest suits against INEC over elections material. The governorship candidate of the Social Democratic Party SDP in June 18 poll in Ekiti State, Chief Segun Oni, has threatened to institute a contempt suit against the Independent National Electoral Commission INEC for allegedly divine tribunal order. The former governor said he is in the process of filing the contempt charge against the electoral body for allegedly breaching the order of the Election Petition Tribunal, compelling it to grant him access to the election materials used during the election. Oni, who came second in the election, is challenging the victory of the governor-elect Biodun Oyebanji, but handing down the threat while addressing journalists in Ado-Ekiti on Wednesday. Oni, through his counsel, Owoseni Ajayi, said top members of INEC staff in Ekiti State to risk jail over their alleged partisanship in the electoral deal. Please read further on page 2 of Nigerian Tribune. And on page 3, APC National Working Committee denies plot to out Adamu as gang up takings. The All Progressive candidate APC National Working Committee NWC has denied that plot was in the offing to remove its national chairman, Senator Abdullahi Adamu. The party national publicity secretary, Felix Moka, in a statement alleged that the report was sponsored by the main opposition party, the People's Democratic Party PDP, added that there was no such. Moke said the party leaders are currently focused on important risk of building a strong and vibrant electoral campaign ahead and will not be distracted by boring cheers of idle speculators. The opposition PDP is quiet welcome to continue to display its energies on individuals and chasing after factor and plots in APC rather than concentrating on mending its broken and criminal's house. You can find the rest of the story on page 3 of Nigerian Tribune. And also still on that page, Tinubu in closed-door meeting with Obasanjo. The presidential candidate of the All Progressive Congress APC, Senator Ahmed Tinubu, arrived at the Olusegun Obasanjo Permanent House at about 1:10 p.m. in Abeokuta, Ogun State. He arrived in company of the governor of the state, Prince Dapo Abiodun, Speaker of the House of Representatives Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, former chairman of Economy and Financial Crime Commission EFCC, Malam Nuhu Ribado, national leaders of the party, Chief Bisi Akonde, and former governors of Ogun State, Chief Olusegun Oshoba and Chief Gbenga Daniel, among others. Tinubu was received by Obasanjo and some notable traditional rulers in the state, which included the Olubara of Ibara, Oba Jacob Omolade, and the Toluwalade of Akinole, Obolufemi Ogunleye, among others. He later went into a closed-door meeting Obasanjo, and the meeting lasted almost about 2 hours. The presidential hopeful could not speak with announcement because of the mammoth crowd that came to welcome him. Read more about that story on page 3 of Nigerian Tribune. And on that page again, Ebonyi Elders Leaders Commissioner endorsed Umani for Zenith. Elders and leaders of churches in Ebonyi State have backed the state governor David Umahi as the senatorial candidate of the ruling All Progressive Congress APC for Ebonyi South Senatorial District. 20 main stakeholders comprising senior citizens, top government functionaries, and community leaders said in a resolution on Tuesday that Umani remains the choice of the people, distancing themselves from the controversy stirred by an APC aspirant, Mrs. Anne Agomeze, on the matter. The signatories to the resolution include President General Ohanovo General Assembly, Honorable Darlington Okereke, Chief Oyebuchi Ogbado, Deputy President General and Chairman, Ivo Local Government Area, Dr. Tina Iweze, Assistant Secretary General Barrister Chukwemeka Hoji, Legal Advisor Princess Rose, and Jakuchu Treasurer, among others. Read more about that story on page 3 of Nigerian Tribune. And lastly, on that page, Ogun PDP, I will fight this battle to the end. Showunmi, the factional governorship candidate of the People Democratic Party PDP in Ogun State, Segun Showunmi, has vowed to fight the ongoing battle for the opposition party ticket to the end. Showunmi expressed confidence that at the end of the struggle, which is already before the court, and with the first victory at the Court of Appeal on Monday, he will emerge the authentic candidate of the PDP in Ogun State. Showunmi made this known while addressing his men on the outcome of the judgment in Abuja on Wednesday. Please read more on page 3 of Nigerian Tribune. And now on page 4 of the same newspaper, bush clearing will spend 2.5 billion naira and not 18.9 billion naira to clear 3,200 hectares in 8 states. Ministry. The Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development has said that it did not spend 18.9 billion naira on bush clearing as reported, but only 2.5 billion naira on bush clearing and land preparation of 3,200 hectares in 8 states. The ministry, in a statement by its Director of Information, Dr. Joe Oruchi, further stated that the House of Representatives Committee must have been quoted out of context by some media houses. The statement read, the attention of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development has been drawn to a publication in the media on the report by the House of Representatives Committee on Public Accounts, which stated that the sum of 18.9 billion naira was used for bush clearing during the COVID-19 lockdown. The ministry wishes to state that if the statement emanated from the House Public Accounts Committee, it must have been quoted out of context. They said, I quote, to put the record straight, however, the ministry at no time received any audit query to warrant summary by the committee. Read more about the story on page 4 of Nigerian Tribune. And still on their page, Appeal Court ordered retrial of Kano singer sentenced to death for blasphemy. The Court of Appeal sitting in Kano has upheld the verdict of the lower court, Kano State High Court, which ordered the retrial of Kano singer Yahya Sharif Aminu over allegation of blasphemy leveled on him. However, the lead judgment delivered on Wednesday by Abubakar M. Lamido and occurred by B.M. Ugo Avam the retrial of the singer while the presiding Justice Itam Baba dissented. Yahya Sharif Aminu was said to have sometimes in 2020 committed blasphemy against Prophet Muhammad and was taken before the Upper Sharia Court, which convicted and sentenced him to death. Not satisfied with the death sentence verdict passed, Aminu through his counsel, one caller Alakmuni, resolved to appeal the matter before the Kano State High Court Appeal Division. Get the more of the story on page 4 of Nigerian Tribune. Still on the same page, Buhari IBB mourn on Nobule. President Muhammadu Buhari has commiserated with the family of Chief Duro Onobule, a veteran journalist and former chief press secretary to former military president General Ibrahim Babangida, who passed away on Tuesday at 83. A statement issued by Femi Adesina, special advisor to the president, media and publicity on Wednesday informed that President Buhari condoled with the former military leader, the Nigerian Union of Journalists (NUJ) and the Nigeria Guild of Editor over the loss. The president noted the commendable contribution of the respected journalists to the development of Nigeria. You can read further on page 4 of Nigerian Tribune. And on page 5, federal government more special intervention in road transportation, minister review. The Minister of State for Transportation, Ademola Adegoroye, on Wednesday disclosed that the federal government has set in motion plans for a special intervention that will make land transportation more seamless for Nigerians. The special assistant on media to the minister, Ebenezer Adeniyo, said the minister made the disclosure while hosting a delegation of the Abuja Zonal Office of Zenith Bank in his office at the Ministry of Transportation in Abuja. Adeniyi said the ministry explained that President Muhammadu Buhari had already approved the proposed special scheme for mass transit to be driven by transportation operators for ease of transportation across the country. Please read more on page 5 of Nigerian Tribune. And quickly on page 6, before we go on the short break, 1 weekend to generate 5,000 megawatts of power by federal government. The federal government on Wednesday said it's unable to reach its promised target of 5,000 megawatts of electricity generation because of shortage in gas supply. The Minister of Power, Abubakar Aliyu, State surveys while briefly corresponding at the end of the Federal Executive Council meeting presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari at the Presidential House of Villa in Abuja on Wednesday. He said whereas the government had entered into a firm contract with the Nigeria Bulk Electricity Trading (NIBET) PLC, power generation had remained around 4,000 megawatts because of the problem of gas. With that, we'll quickly observe a short break. Please stay tuned.
àṣà ò gbọ́dọ̀ wọlé gbẹ́yẹlé àṣà ò gbọ́dọ̀.
ẹ ǹlẹ́ bàbá
àdìo.
ẹ wo aṣọ ọ̀gbẹ́yẹlé nìkan mọ́ nísìn ẹlẹ́yẹlé gan-an làṣà ń gbé ọ̀rọ̀ ojú òní ìmọ̀ wa rí yín fún. ṣé ẹ rí nígbà tí ìjọba kọ̀ tí ó sọ̀rọ̀ làwọn ọ̀dọ́ ti ṣaṣara bàgbó pé kí gbogbo àwọn oníṣẹ́ bí ó kù lágbègbè wa ni wọ́n bá níjọba sọ pé kámórí wá ká fọrùn lẹ̀.
tá ń sọ bẹ́ẹ̀ àdìo ìwọ náà sì tún pẹ̀lú ọ̀bọ jáwúra mi bí wọ́n mọ̀ pé nǹkan tíjọba àpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ ń sọ ni pé a lè fi nǹkan tó kù díẹ̀ káàtó ṣàtúnṣe nǹkan tí ò dáa ó dáa àdìo láti gbẹ̀ tí wàá déhùn ṣé eégún kan ti wá yọrẹ sí babaláwo yín bí.
rárá o bàbá.
ní nǹkan tó jẹ́ pé kẹ́yìn ọ̀dọ́ tó fọn níjọba ti yàwó tùlù fún ẹ̀ṣọ́ aláàbò àmọ̀tẹ́kùn pé kí wọ́n fi tọ̀gbẹ́ tààlà láti lé gbogbo àwọn ẹni ibi jáde ní kọ̀lọ̀fín wọn bẹ́ẹ̀ ló ṣètò ọlọ́pàá scrodom ebi fáàbò gbogbo wa nípìnlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ náà ni ṣèjọba tó wá ṣèyún ní òwà rẹ̀ nìràn lẹ́rù ni ó tún mọ́ ọkọ̀ fẹ́ bí.
ọ̀rọ̀ yín yé mi bàbá àmọ́ ọ̀tọ̀ ní táwọn èèyàn mọ̀ ń wíìkì.
àwọn ará bíi ti tòṣèlú bọ̀ ọ́nù nígbà àtàkùté wọn mẹ́tẹ̀ẹ̀ta òré ó rí wọn lórí ẹ̀rọ ayélujára táwọn ti ròyìn òfegè ní ibi láti sọ̀jọba gómìnà Ṣèyí Mákindé ní súná bú ni.
bàbá kí làá wàá ṣe ṣé ẹ mọ̀ pọ́rọ̀ sọkúsọ bíi náà nú ẹ̀rùn ni.
ẹ̀yin ọ̀dọ́ tẹ́ ẹ nífẹ̀ẹ́ ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ dénú náà ni kẹ́ ẹ sọ fún gbogbo òlù pé orí ìpinnu àṣà ò gbọ́dọ̀ wọlé gbẹ́yẹlé níjọba ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ dúró lé.
ó ti yé mi bàbá mo sì ń lọ rèé fọn rere rẹ̀ náà nu. iléeṣẹ́ ètò ìròyìn àṣà ohun ìrìn àjò afẹ́ tìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ ló ń kéde.
Yeah, you're welcome back. Governor blasts Malami over $480 million parish club refund. The Nigeria Governors Forum (NGF) on Wednesday said that the insistences of the Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, on payments of $480 million to contractor is fraudulent, self-serving, and not in the public interest. Chairman of the Forum and Ekiti State Governor Dr. Kayode Fayemi gave the governor's position while reading out the communique the issue at the end of the meeting held at the State House in Abuja. Malami had, during the State House ministerial briefing, alleged that the governors originally created the liability, which payment they had also identified, adding that the noise being generated is unjustified. We are constrained by the manner in which the Attorney General has been going around various media houses and purporting to create the impression that this is a liability to which the governor had committed themselves to and agreed to, even though he is very much aware that that is not the case. Please read more on page 8 of Nigerian Tribune. Electricity workers call off strike on the same page. The Electricity Workers Union, under the aegis of the National Union of Electricity Employees, have suspended a strike for weeks following a negotiation meeting with the Minister of Labour and Employee, Dr. Chris Ngige, in Abuja. The workers at the earlier embarked on strike to protest against unfair labour practices, which resulted to power outage in some parts of the country. Read further on page 8, and still on the same page, federal government disbursed 471.9 billion naira to state. And with that, move to page 14 of Nigerian Tribune. Oyo transiting from malaria burdensome to malaria-free state. Oyo State Health Commissioner Dr. Bode Ladipo pays the state Oyo State Health Commissioner Dr. Bode Ladipo says the state is transiting from a malaria-burdensome state in southwest Nigeria to a malaria-free state, as evidenced in the last 10 years by difficulty in getting individuals with malaria for testing and control. Dr. Ladipo disclosed this when receiving 16 electronic microscopes, including one of the teaching as well as other laboratory consumable donated by U.S. President's Malaria Initiative for States. Said the microscope will further help ensure the diagnosis of malaria and the state becoming malaria-free. Please read more on page 14 of Nigerian Tribune. And on page 15, brain drain, Nigeria may have to import medical doctor in future by NMA. The Nigerian Medical Association has raised alarm that Nigeria may have to import medical doctor to treat local patients in the future if urgent steps are not taken to stop health workers from relocating. The body also called on the state of emergency in the healthcare sector with a view to holistically addressing the menace of pull and push factors which promote mass migration of health personnel to Europe, America, and other foreign countries. The NMA chairman in Oyo State, Dr. Ayotunde Fasile, raised the alarm at the official opening of the 2022 scientific conference entitled National Health Authority Act, the Soundbite, with the sub-theme Industrial Harmony in the Health Sector, a necessity for health sector growth in Ibadan. Fasile said it is disturbing that thousands of doctors have become so distracted with the Nigerian healthcare system that they are actively migrating to more developed countries with better health system and economies. Please read more on page 15, and quickly on that page, menstrual health a health issue, not hygiene. WHO, in line with the World Health Organization recognition of menstrual health as health issue and not hygiene issue, Immunotherapy Nigeria Limited has introduced a biomaculous product Imiloka to improve women health globally in Nigeria in particular. The story is on page 15 of Nigerian Tribune, and quickly on page 16. Abiodun infrastructural development unquantifiable Ogun West traditional roles. Kwara to support women traders with 658 million naira. Also on page 16, female traditional chiefs, market leader derailed on gender-based violence in Ondo. The Women Advocate Research and Documentation Center recently held a capacity building for female traditional chief yellow days and female market women yellow girls in tackling and reducing sexual and gender-based violence against women and girls in Ondo State. Speaking during the workshop in Akure, Dr. Abiola Akiyode Afolabi, the executive director of WORD, said the project was with the support from Ford Foundation. Akiyode Afolabi added that the project was implementing solidarity, accountability, and commitment to end violence against women and girls in the 6 southwest states: Lagos, Ogun, Oyo, Osun, Ondo, and Ekiti State. Get more about that story on page 16 and on page 17 of Nigerian Tribune. Kano government inaugurates committee on teachers' service elongation. The Kano state government has inaugurated a 13-member committee on the elongation of service years of teachers in the state. The committee will examine the career path policy and presidential approval for teaching and implementations in the state. This was contained in a statement issued by the Deputy Director of Information in the State Ministry of Education, Malam Aliyu Yusuf, in Kano. The committee is headed by the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry, Ajiya Loreto Ado Sido. And on page 18, ASU has no disagreement with government, Professor Olakpegba. A professor of psychology in the University of Ibadan, member of the Academic Staff Union of University ASU, Professor Peter Olakmakinde Olakpegba, has called on parents to try and understand the ongoing industrial action by ASU and said the ASU federal government face off as a means of keeping quality education alive in the country. And with that story of ASU, I will draw cutting off today's edition of our newspaper review. And a quick reminder to you before we go there on our social media page, you can reach us out on Facebook at www.facebook.com/Aloore Radio, and on YouTube we are at Aloore Radio. Our website still remain www.aloreradio.com, while our mobile apps is unavailable. On Play Store, our active mobile line still remains 09039 853 I'm Temi Tokpe Ojawo. I say goodbye to you until tomorrow when you meet another colleagues on this edition. Have a pleasant day. Bye for now.